Yes, I got the gold chain. I do have the gold chain. Thank you to a dear friend of mine on TikTok for getting this for me. She's a wonderful friend. It is a Cuban link. That is correct. Yes, it is a Cuban. It's all Cuban. It's not real gold. It's gold plated, but it's 24 karat gold plated. So it wasn't like terribly cheap. I mean, it surely wasn't no real gold. This thing would be like $5,000 if it was real. Maybe more. Well, thanks, Glitters. Thank you. Thank you so much. It is. It means a lot to me. I'll never not wear it. Well, thank you, Bridget. Thank you. We'll give it a couple more minutes here and we'll get started. Dialysis wasn't so bad. It was a little tough because I went on a Saturday instead of Friday, so it kind of sucked a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. Hello, Azle Police Department. So we'll go ahead and talk about a couple of things. Originally, I had a sermon designed for tonight to be on dealing with burdens and how burdens can weigh us down and hurt us and cause distress in our life. And the other day, the Lord started speaking to me and told me that I needed to do a sermon on something else. And so last night and this morning, I dug through some of my old writings, and I found a writing that I'm not going to share today, but it was the inspiration into what we're going to talk about. And so I basically put my writing into the an AI chat and asked it to help me write a sermon on this. And so it didn't use any of the writings, but I'm going to talk about a little bit about what was in those writings. So when I was 20 years old, 21 years old, one of my best friends in the whole world died of leukemia. He was a little bit older than me. He was 25. His name was Terry. And it broke my heart. It devastated me. And I didn't know how to deal with that when I was young. I wasn't close to God. I didn't know anything about Jesus or anything else. I mean, I knew who the dude was, but I didn't understand the depths of what he did for me whenever I was a young person. And so losing my best friend whenever I was a kid, I was in my 20s. It set me up for, I didn't know how to grieve that. I didn't know how to handle that. And it's hurt me for a long time, even to this day, thinking about Terry and everything that happened, it still gets to me this nowadays. And I had another really, really close friend of mine named Dave. And this just happened in the last couple of years. Dave was a very close friend of mine, and he was a war veteran. He fought in Desert Storm. And he, when I was going through my divorce and losing my kidneys and everything, he came over to my house. I called him and I told him that, I didn't want to be here no more. I didn't want to deal with this. I didn't want to be around. And he came over to my house and he stayed the night on my couch and just sat with me. He didn't say a word. He didn't say a thing. He didn't try to convince me. He didn't try to give me words of encouragement or advice. He just sat with me. And I think that that's the best help that I could have had at that time. And I'll never forget Dave. But sadly, last year while I was living in Florida, Dave had a stroke and he passed away. And so Dave, today's sermon is in honor of Dave, and it's in honor of Terry. And it's a sermon on dealing with loss. One of my dear friends right now has just suffered a loss to somebody that she loved dearly. And I wanted to give this sermon today to hopefully help her or help anybody that's dealing with loss. And so I'm going to read it here. And most of this today is from an AI. I did not write a lot of this. I did not write hardly any of it, actually. But there are some sections in there that I've replaced with what I've experienced and the things that I've dealt with. So the title of this is When Your Heart is Broken in Half, How to Survive Losing Someone You Love. Hi, Valhalla. And it says, if you're here right now and it feels like someone has ripped your heart out of your chest, then this is for you. Thank you for the heart me. Maybe you just lost your mom. Maybe you just lost your dad. Maybe you've lost your child or your spouse, or even your best friend. And everybody keeps saying they're in a better place. But that doesn't stop the nights you cry yourself to sleep. I'm not going to rush through your pain tonight. But I'm going to walk with you straight through the Bible and show you how God meets us in the graveyard. And it's okay that you're not okay. Jesus himself stood at the tomb of Lazarus and wept. Now, I don't know how many of you in here know about Lazarus, but Lazarus was dead, and Jesus rose him from the dead. And he already knew he was about to raise Lazarus from the dead. And still, he cried. And that means that tears are not a lack of faith, but tears are love with nowhere to go. And King David, the king of all kings, next to Jesus, of course, he wrote in Psalm 6:6, he wrote, I am weary with my moaning. Every night I flood my bed with tears. God is not mad at us for grieving. He's keeping every tear in a bottle. and your pain is safe with him. And now I want to talk about the day that death died. I need you to hear the loudest truth in the universe right now. Because Jesus rose, death does not get the final word. In 1 Corinthians 15:54 and 55, it says, "Death has been swallowed up by victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting?" The moment your loved one took their last breath here, they took their first real breath in the presence of Jesus. There's no more pain. There's no more cancer. There's no more depression. There's no more addiction. There's no more sadness. And those people are more alive now than we are. And one day, listen to me, one day you're going to see them again, and it'll feel like you've only blinked. There's a secret. One of the greatest apostles, Paul, that wrote most of the New Testament. He was in a dungeon. In Philippians 1:21, he says, in the dungeon, for to me, to live is Christ, and to die is to gain. And Paul was in prison. He was imprisoned when he wrote that. There were chains on his wrists. There was a death sentence hanging over him. And he calls death gain. Why would he say that? Hello, Stella. And that's because he understood that this world is not our home. We're just passing through here. Every one of us. Your loved one who's passed away, they didn't lose their life. They finally found it. And the separation hurts us, but not them. They're not missing us the way that we're missing them. Because they're whole, and they're home, and they're waiting. So how do we keep breathing when we don't want to? This is something that I have some experience with, because there was a time in my life where I didn't want to be alive anymore. I didn't want to be here. And I know that pain very well. Practical steps from someone who's buried people I've loved. Stop trying to get over it. You're never going to get over it. You've got to get through it. And let people sit in the ashes with you. Don't isolate yourself. Job, the book of Job is a great book to talk about dealing with loss and dealing with despair and sorrow. Job's friends were great for the first 7 days. They just sat with him and said nothing. The same way my dear friend Dave Miller. Dave Miller wasn't a religious man. He never knew God. He's probably burning. But that doesn't mean that I can't love him. That doesn't mean that he didn't have righteousness in his bones. Another thing you can do is you talk to your loved one out loud. Talk to them in your room. Talk to them outside. Talk to them. They're part of a cloud of witnesses now. That's stated in Hebrews 12:1. And I can promise you that they hear you. Anchor yourself in one verse. And don't let that verse go. The verse that I held on to was Psalms 34:18. I've said it 1,000 times in here. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and he saves those whose spirits have been crushed. And that thing gave me, that one verse, it saved my life. There's another one, though. There's another verse. Revelation 21:4. It says, he will wipe away every tear from their eyes. And I've said that one 100 times a day until I could breathe again. And do the next right thing. And get out of bed and drink water and eat something. One foot in front of the other. God's grace is portioned out daily and not in bulk. When I lost my kidneys, I probably went 4 months without a shower. I was a wreck. I was completely broken. And that's how I had to do it, is I finally just bulked up enough where I was like, I gotta do something. I couldn't lay in that bed any longer. So I got up, I got a shower. I got in the tub, got a bath. I changed my sheets on my bed because they were freaking nasty. It was a mess. But then we're going to talk about the day that you laugh again. And there comes a morning where joy sneaks up on you. You'll hear a song. You'll smell a familiar smell. You'll see their favorite flower. And instead of collapsing in pain, you'll smile through the tears. And that's not betrayal. That's healing. Aeschylades 3 says there's a time to weep and a time to laugh, and a time to mourn and a time to dance. The same God who gave you tears will give you laughter again. And when he does, your loved ones will be cheering louder than anyone. We're going to have a closing prayer. That's all I have to share on it tonight. So if you want to bow your heads, I'd appreciate it. Father, some of us showed up here barely holding on. Hold us tonight. Whisper their name to our broken hearts and remind us they are safe with you. Give us strength for tomorrow and peace for tonight and hope that does not disappoint. turn our mourning into dancing in your perfect time. Until we see them again, let us feel them in every sunset and every song and every hug from someone who loves us. We love you and we trust you. We will see them again. In Jesus' name, amen. I've lost a lot in my life, and it ain't enough. It's hard to talk about how even the suffering that we manage to go through is still a gift, because it doesn't feel like a gift. But we don't even deserve to be here. Even give life in general is just a gift for us. And so maybe instead of thanking God for having loved people in our life, we should be thankful that we even got to know someone. I love you all dearly. And I thank you so much for showing up tonight. Tonight's sermon was a last minute. I didn't work on it a lot. A lot of this is not my writings. A lot of this is not my stuff. Thank you so much for the Galaxy, Hazel, the police department. You know, every single one of us deals with loss and deals with tragedy, and I wish that I had better words to use. And I wish that I would have taken more time on this, but the situation it weighed heavy on me, and it's still weighing heavy on me, but not as heavy as it is on others. Thank you so much for the boxing gloves, Hazel. I appreciate all you guys so much. So much. I don't think I'm going to do boxes because here shortly I've got to go pick up my son, and we're going to watch the Ohio State Buckeyes beat the Indiana Hoosiers in a football game for the Big Ten championship. But I will let Glitters back up because I told her afterwards